say that. Yep, I think we did it. So I'm gonna have to climb a little extra. Smoothly controlled, bud. Smoothly controlled, man.
Everesting on a bicycle is simply just climbing the vertical feet of Mount Everest, which is 29,032 feet. There is a competitive side to Everesting, and there's a bunch of criteria you need to meet for it to actually count, and there's somewhat of an official rule book. One of which is climbing and descending the same exact road or trail. And that was something we actually wrote off right away. So what we did was very unique, and although it doesn't meet that criteria, it is doing something that we still haven't seen anyone else do the same type of way. And I think it's more realistic to the type of riding you would do on a trail bike. And that's why it was so important for us to have a full loop, because ideally, if you're out riding your mountain bike on a trail bike, you'd climb up a fire road and you'd go down a really fun downhill trail. And that's exactly what we did.
Everesting is totally unique in the cycling world because you can't leverage aerodynamically efficient equipment like an aero road bike, and you can't leverage strategy that you would employ a race or pack dynamics and drafting. It's just you, your weight, your power, and the climb that you have. And that's it. You can't cheat anything. It's just physics and you can't escape it. And that's why it's so hard. And I think it's also why a lot of people underestimate how difficult Everesting actually is. When you sit down and look at the numbers and start to add up the time and the amount of laps and everything else that you'll have to do, you start to realize how big of an undertaking this really is. It's truly one of the hardest things you can do.
Finding the right trail for this turned out to be quite a challenge. And initially we planned on doing it in the Sierras, but unfortunately there have been so many fires recently, I guess into summer in the Sierras, that they went as far as closing all of the national parks in California. And so even before that happened, it was looking kind of bleak with the air quality. And we started thinking we might have to change the locations, and then we realized we had to. But this was only like a week and a half out from our scheduled Everest date. We finally have our new location, and I can't get past how perfect the ride profile itself is. Like the actual loop I'm gonna be riding, and I haven't ridden it yet, so hopefully I'll confirm it later, but it just seems perfect. The profile's perfect, the technicality of the trail, the climb, it's 100% dirt. And the fact is, this is the type of trail you would really want a trail bike for. And it was important to me that this didn't become something that you could do just on an XC bike comfortably or something way lighter. Like I wanted this bike to be the bike for the job, and the trail has a lot to do with that. So we've committed to this. We've had to change the plan so many times. And I'll just say though, the reality setting in that from this parking lot where we have to get all our supplies in for support, it's a 3-mile fire road just to the bottom of the trail. And I have no idea how we're gonna get that out at the end of the day. So today we're gonna figure out all those logistics, and I'm excited. I mean, I'm pumped to ride. We have a ton of content that we are planning on getting, but to really think this through and stay focused and make sure we don't, skip anything today, I think is gonna be the most important thing. My first time up the climb, and I can already tell right away I'm gonna have to adjust my power plan because I've kind of had the idea to run really consistent numbers, but as you can see, this is super undulating. I mean, I just rolled down, and I should expect this. I know what mountain bike trails are like and fire roads are like, but the undulations are more drastic than I thought, which means I'm obviously not gonna hold steady power. So for me, I'm like thinking, what's gonna be my real new range and my top number limit? Because it's easy to decide that when you're thinking of tempo numbers or what you would hold for 30 minutes straight, but when it's this undulating, I've never actually had to think about it as much. So it's honestly gonna take more thought, but I think I'm gonna do a full lap on it just to feel it, and then I'll look back at my numbers and try and just connect the dots of how I felt, what the power was, see what the top end was, the low end. But I know regardless, just having these things in front of me is gonna help really control my pace, because I have a tendency to go way too hard, way too early. And I know anyone that says Everesting, that does Everesting, says it feels easy for the first half and really hard for the second. So that's how it should feel, I guess. Not just hard the whole time. All right, looks like it's starting off smooth. Oh man, I'm just stoked to ride today. I'll tell you what, you would not want a smaller bike for this. That's for sure. Ew. That's a little bit more optional though. So is that. Well, it's not getting smooth yet. It almost seems like these jump lines, whoa, are gonna be a little smoother, bigger impact, but not as rough on the braking bumps, but this is definitely not smooth. So I honestly didn't expect the braking bumps to be as deep as they are, or just as bad as they are. I mean, we're on a faster, straighter section of track, and we stopped here to really show you, but this isn't uncommon. Like throughout almost every corner, it seems like there are legit braking bumps. So I softened up my suspension. I actually just made my rebound a little bit faster, and that's helped a ton, but it's definitely gonna add to like the physicality of this thing, because it's not a smooth cruiser trail. It's definitely not. Like, you gotta look at these. Pre-ride day is over. I'm really happy we came out and just put some effort behind this, because I made some suspension settings that help my hands a ton. The bike feels way better, trail feels smoother. Now I really know what to expect too. All the turns are figured out, kind of the just general way the terrain is gonna go. And I guess if you don't know this area, where we're gonna be parked at for our refill station or aid station, where Specialized is gonna be to make sure I'm like doing what I need to be doing. It's like not quite halfway up the climb, maybe a third of the way up. So I think it'll be a pretty cool area. I'm just gonna roll out of this single track, pedal up third of the way, get my aid, keep it rolling, and probably repeat that for about, I don't even wanna say 16 hours, but it's probably gonna be 16 hours. I'm just trying to beat the sunset. Next time you see me, it'll be Everest day, and it'll be early. So the loop is decided, and we figured out that if we brought more support crew, that we could have someone basically going back and forth from the van to the loop to bring in and out supplies. And this meant putting small coolers on a backpack. In fact, my dad ended up being the main guy for this, and he loaded up a pack to 70 pounds. I kid you not. I don't even know how he rode down. Thankfully, it was a downhill to get to the loop, so he didn't have to climb up and out, which is about a 400-foot vert at each lap. But then again, he'd come loaded up with all these supplies. This is food, this is water, this is ice. You know, I had a full spare bike with me. There were so many things to move in and out, even like an extra set of gloves or the Theragun I used. So that was a challenge, but bringing my dad as that extra person really helped. And then we had Derek Nasel also come later in the morning, who ended up staying for the entire day and just added another layer to that support. But having those extra team people was totally necessary as soon as we eliminated the ability to drive right up to the trailhead. So like I said, we can't pull up to the actual loop we're gonna be on. There's a 3-mile fire road transfer. So this van is gonna basically be our home base with all our food and water and ice. So we have a giant cooler where we're gonna just we have everything, man. I just cleaned the shelves at the grocery store. I'm excited about it. It's like not a big deal now that we have it figured out, but the other options we thought of that didn't work, like it took us a lot to get here, is what I'm trying to say, which you probably wouldn't expect because it's just a couple of coolers, but just all this like little organization stuff to make the day go smooth It's taken a lot more time than I expected, but it's dialed now, and I think it's gonna work great. These little face wipes too. Oh really? Are they all packed up?
Yep.
Here. Okay.
Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff.
Keep these inside then.
Towel.
Just in case I need some extra motivation. Okay, cool. Couldn't forget the Katie Strong sticker. No, I have a ton of motivation for this ride this weekend from the Dialed fam, from just being a testimonial to my own product, personally, just overcoming, kind of push my own boundaries. But I think the biggest one, without a doubt, and the real reason I'm really want to do this, or the thing that's going to keep me motivated, I guess, is going to be thinking about Katie. She's the only other trainer on dialedhealth.com right now who I share a program with. We created this awesome thing together and got to know each other professionally and started riding, and we started racing together. And she had a horrible crash that left her in a coma, really fighting for her life. I saw her a few weeks after, and it was surreal. It was so crazy to see like one of the strongest women I've ever met get to the point where she's really just trying to stay alive, and to watch her fight and recover through all of it and the progress she's made in a few months has been unreal. And I'm really grateful to have her boyfriend Derek out with us, and then to have these stickers here just as a reminder. Katie Strong, she's fighting to regain everything right now, and it just puts it in such perspective that, you know, I'm just getting to ride my bike all day. So I think of all the motivations, this is without a doubt the biggest one that's gonna help me. Of course, couldn't forget VertChallenge sticker. Just seeing this thing gets me juiced. That logo is so rad. We're gonna be passing these things out all day tomorrow. I'll never have another chance. Nothing straight, bro, to be honest. And it's not bad. Actually, pretty dope.
After your first lap.
Sweet.
Yeah, and you're talking about all morning. To see how it feels. Yeah, right.
In two of those bottles, we put scoops in the bottle.
Yeah.
So I have a really wide variety of foods tomorrow. I mean, everything from staples of what you'd expect, like drink mix and dried fruit. I have some dates, to like bars, those Cliff Z bars with the iced oatmeal. It's like really to like all the gummies and candy and everything you can imagine, but also potato chips. I have some prosciutto and salami. I have turkey wrap, just in case I really feel like I need all of that extra sodium, something different. I even brought sour candy just to really try and switch up my palate. We have, so bottom line, like, dude, we have Cokes, Red Bull, cram sandwiches, P&G gels. Like, we have so much of a variety that I realized, okay, giving myself as many options as possible and at least start the day on somewhat of a regular ride routine, just taking it a little bit more than normal most likely. I did plan up to about the 10-hour point, but the thing is, I didn't share those plans with anyone else. I had written it out myself, and I just didn't send it to someone where we could pre-package Ziploc bags. I mean, there are things I could have done to be more specific. So truthfully, with the exception of the oatmeal and coffee I had before the ride, the first lap where I drank 40 grams of carbs and some like about 700 milligrams of sodium, with the exception of that first lap, everything else kind of was a free-for-all. But because I took the time to lay out the first 10 hours, what I realized was the order in which I should take in liquids, solids, and then focus on more sodium or more sugar. And that did help me. So good. I was thinking about having you guys bring this.
I'm excited. It's gonna be fun to watch a human endeavor. I can't imagine the mindset that's going to go into it. So I'm stoked to be there to help out and make sure the bike's going to roll 100% all day long. And that's up to Derek to make sure he rolls 100% all day long. It's going to be a long, hard day for Derek.
Now, bringing my dad for this turned out to also be great because of just logistics, talking through the plan. He's actually done 72-hour adventure races where he's been up for an extreme amount of time, had to pack, had to organize and consider food and rations, and he's been through a process very similar to this. He brought up the fact that I was just kind of concerned about having to turn lights back on at the end of the day and ride into the night, because I knew we were going to start in the morning. The original plan was like 3 a.m. But he said, hey, why don't you just bump up the time? We'll start even earlier. And then your projected 18-hour ride window would mean that you could stop right before it gets dark. And that meant we would start at 2 a.m. When we pulled up to the trailhead, I realized right away how dark it actually was down in the canyon, in the forest. I had never done a night ride ever, and I expected it to be dark, but being out there at 1 a.m., it is honestly a little eerie. I'm not gonna tell you that I'm afraid of the dark or anything like that, but I'm going on a 4-mile loop where we have almost no cell reception. We go around multiple canyons, so even using a walkie-talkie is not really possible. And if something happens, you're gonna be really stuck out there, and it's really dark and really quiet, and no one's gonna be able to hear you.
Honestly, pretty relieved, man. I did not want to pull this night shift by myself. We could have done it, but you know, thankfully I have some buddies who are already here on time, and it looks like we might have a group of 4 guys total, at least taking me till sunrise, which I know is gonna be a huge advantage, man.
I didn't understand the difficulty of riding at night. I mean, I knew it would be more difficult, but really, you can't see more than 30 feet in front of you, especially when you're going around corners, when there's drop-offs in the trail that are unavoidable like I had. A lot of times you can only see up to the drop-off and it's completely dark behind it. And I just can't imagine doing that by myself. In fact, one of the biggest things I learned in moving forward, if I do something this technical, I would never consider doing it without other people there. And I'm really grateful those guys showed up. I didn't ask them to, they asked me if they could come out and ride with me early in the morning. And I didn't expect them to do it, but again, I don't know what I would have done if I was solo. I think we would have just done it, but it would have been very sketchy.
So I had to start the Garmin up at the parking because we're 3 miles from our actual aid station. And even though I'm going to be Everesting just on this loop, I mean, we gotta make the whole ride profile as gnarly as possible. So that is what we added there. I already started it, and we'll be using our clock timer at the aid station to kind of keep track of our just time that we're going through. I mean, really, I'm gonna be using my lap counter here, but I think for anything, that'll be for other people who see I'm 11 hours deep or 15 hours deep.
3, 2, 1, go.
1:45.
Send it.
Way ahead of schedule.
Yeah, Derek.
The first couple times down the descent were clunky. I could tell I was riding terribly. My buddy James behind me is a local and he knows what the good lines are. And I even told him, I was like, man, my lines are probably terrible right now. He's like, yeah, they are horrible.
I know I can save a lot of time and effort, even like on the top traverse section, by not dropping my post too early and stuff. So if that lap felt way more efficient. All right, let's roll.
Thinking back on the first couple laps, I almost get a stomach ache. It makes me not really cringe, but it's almost thinking back on an injury. It's just like, it hurts to think about.
What do you want, D?
And I realized I didn't charge my lights all the way.
I realized I didn't charge my lights enough. I thought they were fully charged, and I put them on the charger like for 15 minutes to be safe beforehand, but they had already started dying. So I needed to take lights from the guys with me so that I could get down for another lap or two before the sun came up.
He's kind of really over the dark as of 2 laps ago. He's
Pedaling off and James is one fully charged light.
So I got extremely lucky that we had extra people, and this is when you feel like God's protecting you. It feels like destiny that these people were there because I didn't push for it. It happened and it became a complete necessity.
You rested, James?
What happened?
You rested?
Yeah. Dude,
So, you missed
world
it,
record
but
for
we
Red
rode
Bulls
this trail
today.
called-
Oh, dang.
Yeah,
Help me.
it's pretty sick. There's some bumps and
An hour and 56 minutes at Derek's pace. And now I'm gonna chill for, hopefully this is a slow lap. And he'll you know, waste some, or maybe it's a fast lap, he'll waste some energy for me. And then I'll really work him next time. Lap number 5, baby. He looks good. He is good.
It's a lot warmer up there. Yeah. You want this puppy for a minute? No. Okay.
He was really positive about the darkies over there.
Hopefully the last dark.
well, yeah, we got 4 hours in, and what was I even gonna say? Oh, maybe I'm even getting delusional. The important thing about this lap was that we just did 6 complete laps. We have 26 for the day, so as soon as we roll out, we're inside 20.
Yeah, we're ready.
That's big.
The countdown.
Yep.
The sun coming up was such a morale boost, not because of just how much easier the riding became and how I was able to pace and find better lines, but I also realized by 8 a.m. that we were gonna crack 10K. And that right away felt like a huge victory because who can say on their trail bike that they've gone out and done 10K before 8 a.m.? Very few people.
Here we are. I think this is like lap 7 or 8. To be honest, I've skipped. What is this, 8? Okay, I've skipped a couple, so you'll have to pardon my laziness. No light lap. Oh, Derek's happy. Oh yeah, now we're having some fun. Oh yeah, he's learning the trail now. And now that we got some light, he's getting a little spicy on me. Sick manual train. Oh, I'm so stoked. Derek let us come out and enjoy this with him. Let's change it up right here. A little bit of a local line. He doesn't know that one yet. He'll learn it after lap 25 or so. He'll learn that one. I like that one. Oh, a little dusty right there. One of my favorites about this trail is there's so many lines. All right, now this is where I'm judging Derek heavily, just heavily judging him. Right here, this corner. Oh, he nails it. Almost. That's the line though, is the almost. Yeah, boy.
Yeah, I just took my first ride out in the
Yeah, way better.
100%. Yeah.
So much faster.
Yeah, everything about it was better.
Oh man. I feel like this is a secret weapon. Really on the downhill, I feel good so far, but my traps are getting a little tight. It's just literally this one section of trail. Thank you. And that's like the one spot I just tighten up on. There's just nothing you can do about it. It's just pretty rough for a while. But dude, riding in the light was way faster. It was smoother because I was able to get around the holes and just more fun. Like, I don't know, the day started good, and then after a couple laps in the dark, yeah, I was kind of over it. So that was fun. Definitely got me fired up. just finished lap 11, 26, which means I'm like 13,500 in.
Tool, and there's also tools on the.
I'm starting to feel it, honestly. My nutrition's been really good. I think it's the best thing we've done all day, just eating. Other than that, I'm just trying to be better about pacing at the top, because like the very top part of this climb, that's like what's getting me the most, because it's just so punchy. It just feels like it's right in between gears. It just seems like now when I get past the top bit, I feel way more relieved.
That 10K mark was also about the time I figured out a rhythm with nutrition. Up to that point, I would do 2 or 3 laps without stopping, but for the second half of the day, we basically did 2 laps where I wouldn't stop. I would stop after the second lap, and we put myself on a timer for 10 minutes, and that came just through some trial and error. I realized I really only need solid food every other lap, with the lap times being about 40 minutes. And so the laps I didn't need to stop, I would basically just shout as I came up to the aid station what I needed. I'd roll in my bottle. They would typically hand me a bottle with some carb mix and maybe some gels or a bar. It would already be unpackaged for me. And that way I would still get in the calories I needed on the way up. And then the next lap, I'd actually roll in, stop, have more solid food, take care of myself. Bike would get prepped, chain lube, checking bolts, checking tire pressure. I would also use the Theragun. And this became the rhythm that I carried out through the rest of the day. And it was good mentally as well, because the first lap I always felt more fresh after stopping, and the second lap was significantly more difficult, especially toward the top of the climb. But again, I knew I had that break coming up, so it was almost like the perfect amount of recovery. The 15K mark was significant because it's when I rolled over 13 laps, which was our halfway lap count. We were halfway in vertical, and I saw my time, which said 10 hours of elapsed time. And that is when it really hit me that I would be riding for 20 hours. And what's significant about that is that it meant I was gonna finish in the dark. It just felt kind of devastating because riding at night sucked. Doing it for 5 hours earlier that morning, I was already over it. It really hit me that, as cracked as I was, I could still do the math on, hey, I'm halfway, I'm 10 hours in, I'm not gonna go faster on the second half, so I'm at least gonna be out here for 20 hours. And yeah, that really kind of hurt to realize and digest, I guess. But it was strange at this time. Mentally, it was probably the darkest place I had been all day, but physically, I felt the best I had all day. I had no joint pain. I actually felt strong. I almost felt like I could increase my pace, and I didn't, but I felt almost more aggressive. I felt that purpose come back, and I felt kind of fired up.
Lap 15, had a turkey sandwich, or a turkey wrap, excuse me. Just a bunch of random stuff, but nutrition has been really on point today. I sat down, it was like a 15-minute break, but dude, this is definitely my second win right now. I feel like the last few laps I've been faking it, just telling myself not to think. I genuinely feel strong right now, so it's nice because, I don't know, I actually feel ready to attack the rest of this thing. And I haven't felt that way in the last 3 or 4 hours, so yeah.
This is hard. It was weird. I had a little water pooling in my stomach, okay, but then I had those margarita or the watermelon blocks. Yeah, I think it helped. I think I need salt. I need the ibuprofen, okay, and I need the Enduro tablets. Okay.
You can plan as much as you want, but until you're in the moment, you're not gonna know what your body is gonna want. It's about interpreting what you want at the time with the facts that you know, and trying to have that inner dialogue of, okay, I think that I should have this, but what does my body want right now? And you have to kind of you have to weigh out those two, because there are times where you don't want anything. Like later in the day, I didn't want to eat anything, but I knew I needed to. And I found a food like a banana, which I hadn't eaten all day, that sort of revived my hunger again. And so there are times you have to look past what you're craving, but there are times also where you have to be like, okay, you know, I expected myself to want this, but I actually want something else. So in that sense, I think we nailed nutrition perfectly because we had all of the options that I wanted and they were ready for me, and I had pre-thought about it, had somewhat of a plan, and we executed. You know, the closest I came all day to a stomach ache was just a little water sloshing in my stomach. But even because of the knowledge I have behind nutrition and cycling, I just knew I needed a little more sodium on the following lap, and that it would help absorb that water out of my stomach and I'd be good to go. That's what I did, and that's what happened.
What are you thinking?
I'm sweating a lot right now too.
Yeah. What are you thinking for real food? Do you want me to check back in 2 laps?
I'm just not even thinking about it.
Okay. Any drink that we don't have, any food that we don't have?
Dude, I think just on the way out, we could just get a burger or...
We just talked about that.
I
Order
don't
a
even-
pizza, get something.
Order a pizza.
By the
be
time we
sick.
might,
Yeah.
I think it's way
Let's do
more
that.
right
Yeah,
now. Or you're
pizza
gonna take it with
sounds
you.
good. I like Hawaiian, all meat.
You want to take it with you?
Yeah.
You want to know?
I'll just see what I can do to this.
One thing I do remember from that 20K time period was that it got hot, and it was about 80 degrees. There was a lot more sun exposure. The sun was mostly overhead, and my average speed for this whole ride was 6.6 miles an hour. So you can realize how slow I'm going on the climb. And when you have that kind of heat, you have baggy gear on, there's not a lot of wind, it just gets very, very hot. And what we did to counteract that was just put a Ziploc bag full of ice on the back of my neck, really. It was more like my upper back, and I rode the whole climb with that. And it was just one of those tools I had used from the years of riding experience that totally helped out the day. In fact, I even tried to ride the downhill with it on my back, but I don't know if there's a hole in the bag. It was pouring ice water down my arm, so I dumped it, put the bag back in my pocket, and finished the run. But that ice did help a lot, and I think it's what kind of got me through the heat of the day, which was really between like 2 and 5 p.m.
I'm trying to think.
You probably hang with them.
When was the last time I took those enduro things?
Caffeine dude.
You need a banana.
Okay, right behind you. I'll get you one.
It was interesting though, because with the last 6 laps, it meant that I had 2 more aid station stops before I would basically roll into the finish. And even though it was like only 2 more stops, knowing that there was 2 laps in between those 2 stops, it had a weird feeling of just being daunting. So I remember when I had 2 more aid station stops before the finish, I just wanted to get to the next aid station stop, simply so I could say I only have 1 more stop and then we have the actual finish. Because it was like, I searched for anything I could to try and get me motivated to get to that next step, whether it was mileage or elevation or just counting the laps. Whatever looked like the most positive, I guess, metric, I would look at that alone. You know, there were times throughout the day too where the laps looked kind of bleak, the elevation looked kind of bleak, but then I would look at my mileage and I'd be like, whoa, I'm on my trail bike and I've done 70 miles or I've done 80 miles already. And those were the reminders I needed where I was like, I'm really doing something here.
Man, you are so doing it.
Still riding the downhill good. I get to this point on the climb, I'm like, just get to the top and the rest is easy.
If it was easy, everybody'd do it, right? Yeah. Come on, brother. Come on.
Yeah, he's consistent.
Hitting the spot? Nice.
All right, Derek, we gotta keep you to your 10-minute timeline. You got.
Could not be more proud of my son. I think the boy really has a natural gift and talent, and I'm so glad to see that he is living up to his potential in all ways of life, not just work, and that I really believe that the things that he does, you know, he talks about blessed to be a blessing, and I really believe that about his life. I know that's not just something that's tattooed on his body. He really believes it, and I think the things that he's doing like this will really inspire people. And again, I just couldn't be more proud of him, and he's got an amazing group of friends. You guys have just been fantastic, a support group, so it's been awesome to be here and be a part of it.
I mean,
I've done like two or three laps and I'm tired. So I don't know how Derek's feeling, man. This is insane. All of his times have been within, wasn't it 4 minutes?
Yeah, it's been
4 minutes of each other?
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Yeah, 20, think about that. 22 laps in all of your times within 4 minutes of each other. And you're climbing 1,100 feet every time.
My mind is blown. I am tired from going up and down about 2 times back to the car and hanging out all day. So I go walk up that hill occasionally just to go get some exercise and I'm out of breath. So I can't imagine what he's doing. Just mind blown and yeah, stoked for him. We're getting to the business end here, 4 more laps to go. And yeah, it's just, I can't really wrap my head around it. I can't picture riding the stuff that he's doing all day long. It's insane.
Like even that first lap that I took with him, you could just, I don't think we were even at the trail yet and he was already like just dusting me. Just, okay, and you're 9,000 feet in? Crazy.
We had 26 total laps to do, and once I got within the last 6 laps over 20, I basically rolled in through the tech aid station with my fist up in the air every time. Just super proud of what we were doing. I knew we were getting close and I really believed it. I had people clapping for me, just the whole team and crew, and it became that last push.
You've done this 24 times. You can sure do it 2 more.
Yeah, it's 2.
2.
Let's just get to the last lap.
That last lap is going to be so much height.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, every foot is like, I do not have to do this again.
That's right. That's right.
The lights are going back on. Oh man, from 1 a.m. to now.
Next time,
whatever time that is.
It's over.
This guy, man, this guy.
So we get the lights on, we start rolling. Again, this is not what I wanted to do, but at that point it was like, this is what we have to do to finish and we're just doing it.
Oh, bro. Did I wake up at 11:30 yesterday for?
Now the problem was, I realized right when we set off for that second to last lap, so this is our 25th lap, that I don't know if my Garmin was reading low, I don't know what was going on, but I knew that 2 laps around this thing wasn't gonna be enough to hit the elevation we needed.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to climb a little extra after this lap.
All right, dude, we got you.
And then I was actually gonna have to finish my last lap and then continue climbing up the fire road until we got over the Everest mark, which is 29,032 feet. And I'll tell you, this was the second most defeating part of the day because I wanted so badly to just roll into the aid station and be done after that second lap, and I knew I couldn't. The mental capacity it took, the strain it had on my brain at the end of the day to ride that trail at night, even though I knew my lines, it was just so much for me to handle. And to stay safe and to operate the way I needed to, that was very difficult. So when it was over, I was done with the loop, I was like, thank God, but I just knew I had to keep climbing. And what's crazy is when I pulled out of that last descent, I looked at my Garmin and it said I had 1,000 feet of climbing left. But still somehow in my head, I just thought, that's it. I just have to climb now.
Fill lap, right?
I got 600 feet.
Let's go.
So within 500 feet, I just started counting it down. So it was like 500 feet left, 400 feet left, 300 feet, 200 feet. I'm dang near at the top of this thing, but whatever. I did not want to go a foot more than I needed to. So we literally were climbing. I saw it was within 20 feet, within 10 feet, and then the next thing that popped up was 29,033 feet. I literally stopped, I put my foot down, and I just looked at the guys and I was like, we did it.
You did it, buddy.
Picture like a superstar.
29:44. Yeah. You are the man.
We just had to climb to the top of that.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Man, it's over.
It's 9:46. We started at 1:45 a.m. Elapsed time 20 hours, 23 minutes. Distance 119 miles. Total ascent 29,044 feet.
26 laps of the full loop, but we added an extra climb to finish out. And that's it, man. That's Everesting on a trail bike.
No way.
Total time.
That's the real total time, I guess. Because I started mine actually up at the parking lot up there.
You are one hard mofo, D.
That ride was the coolest thing I've ever done on a bike, period. To finish it that way, where it's 9:30 at night at this point, we've been out there literally all day, and just to spray the whole team down with champagne and celebrate and hug with everybody.
Thing done the hard way.
That was like the coolest moment ever for me, and yeah, I'm really proud of that one.
You got anything to say to Katie after that one?
Yeah. Honestly, thinking about what you're doing right now made that, I don't want to say it was easy, but I mean, that's nothing compared to what you're going through, so it's an insane perspective, and you really powered that ride.
Yeah, I'm gonna
To Katie, man.
You.
Gearing up on that ride down the fire road.
Dude, I was.
I can't even imagine how hard that is. Oh, I'm so proud of you, buddy. I'm so proud of you.
Yep.
We got everything packed up.
When we came up with the DHVERTCHALLENge, we knew we wanted people to participate and just go to a new level that they haven't before. I can honestly say that after completing that ride, I feel so much more confident in my abilities, like more confident than I ever have. And also, it's made me think of ideas that I've never had before simply because I have proof that I can do it. And that's really what I want for everyone who participates in the DHVERTCHALLENGE. It's go and get your own PR and prove to yourself that you can do something that maybe you weren't quite sure of, because what follows that is more confidence, and you're gonna think of new ideas and things to do, because until you check this off the list, like your mind almost can't comprehend it. But I'll tell you, you can't go in unsure of the training that you had beforehand. I mean, although I can't train super high volume like a real pro cyclist, I can hit my gym sessions consistently. I know I'm doing the correct stuff in the gym. I know I'm on the bike doing what I can, and I'm not missing any sessions. Really do your best to over prepare. Come in fully confident in the training that you have under your belt, and then you'll have no regrets.
And for him to do this, it's just thoroughly impressive to be able to deal with the mental strain of having to compute a trail that many times and process everything that's in front of him and make the sort of changes he needs to. It's absolutely astounding what he was able to do, and doing it on a trail bike, on a trail that's really a proper mountain bike trail. And sure, somebody's probably done it before, but this is an achievement that everybody should know about.
It means a lot that you take the time to watch this film on the biggest ride I've ever had in my life, and I hope it inspires you to go do the same. Big thanks to everyone who has encouraged me along the way, and even after the fact has sent me messages and let me know how it inspired them or has impacted them. All of that is really my fuel for why I do everything I do with Dialed Health, and specifically this VertChallenge is a great representation as an opportunity for us to accomplish something together like this. So thanks for being a part of it, and I hope you get out there and PR your vert. Start moving forward.